This is Dregs One. Welcome to another episode of the History of the Bay podcast, sponsored by the good folks of Amoeba Music San Francisco and the good folks at Dying Breed San Francisco for all your custom Frisco Bay Area gear and your graffiti supplies. Today in the building, behind the lens, we got King Said, we got Rocky Vision, we got Scino over there producing, we got DEO on the boards, and today we have a very special guest, a legend in the Frisco community, big bro, an uncle, a mentor to many, the one and only Herm Lewis.
What's up? What's up?
What's up, Herm?
Oh, it's good.
Thanks for coming through, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, we've been building a lot this year, and I really enjoyed reading your book. Remind me the title again.
Herm Lewis, a lessons learned.
Yes.
Yeah, a lesson learned from a Hunters Point street soldier.
Yeah, so you gave me that book. I got to read it earlier this year, and that gave me a lot more insight into your story. For those who don't know, I mean, the compilation King, the original, trying to survive in the ghetto, that set things off, Black Power Productions. But aside from that, I mean, there's just a lot to your story, bro, and I want to get right into it.
Yep, let's do it.
So for those who don't know, where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in San Francisco, Hunters Point, Bayview District, Harbor Road, West Point, Double Rock.
And what was HP like when you were growing up?
It was a beautiful place. It was because it wasn't, when I was growing up, the violence, it wasn't no violence. It was just, fun, athletic activities, the Boys and Girls Club, Hunters Point Gym, Joseph Lee Gym. So we grew up on activities like that.
And you have a large family, a lot of brothers and sisters.
Yes. I had 5 brothers. It was 5 brothers, 3 sisters. 2 of my brothers got murdered.
Yeah.
But Rodney was my youngest brother, which was, he was the hardest of the family. Real strong young dude. He was like Debo. When he showed up, people that didn't know him or that had problems with him was intimidated of him. And he got killed in, 92. 93 he got killed. And then my other brother, D-Lou, which was just as hard, he got killed in 2002 after doing 8 years in the federal penitentiary. He get released, and the circumstances of the hood had changed after 8 years. So once he got released, the guys that was on the porch prior to him going to jail was off the porch, was slanging, banging, carrying guns. And a disagreement happened between my niece and her dude. So my brother, old school, he came up, put hands on the young cat. And the other young cats, they just pulled out on him and killed him, not knowing who he was because they was on the porch when he was out here.
Right.
So they didn't know who he was, and they killed him and come to, that's Herm, brother, that was D-Lou, and then it was just a big old thing.
That's, sorry for your losses, and rest in peace to your brothers. But, I mean, it's just interesting because you're talking about from the beginnings up to 2002, I think that right there just reflects the change of the violence coming into the community that you're talking about.
Yeah. At that time it was separation. It was, and then initially it was just, Hunters Point was considered Harbor Road, West Point, Oakdale, Double Rock, and all the other little sets in between was just all considered Hunters Point. 3rd Street was Hunters Point.
Yeah.
And then once all the separation, everybody wanted their own individual set. So now we got Crusader, we got Palouse Street, we got, it just got too separated.
Right.
To where everybody was pretty much isolated to their own blocks. And that's where the money stopped. That's where the violence escalated. And individuals just wasn't comfortable interacting with other brothers from the same neighborhood. And it affected everybody.
And going back to your roots, your family was raised by a single mother, correct?
Yep, single mom. I don't know how she did it. Best mom in the world, and for her to be able to deal with us, we was hard. My brothers was harder than me. And
were you one of the younger?
No, I'm the third oldest.
Okay.
But for my mom to be able to deal with us, because we wasn't just accepting any man coming in the house. We was like that. If you wasn't coming in and we didn't like you, we was pushing you out. And mom's, she had some challenges, but she was so influential with us to where she can give us a certain look, and we gonna submit to her authority. That's the type of mom I have. She's still around today, and she's older. And I just had a conversation with her because she's going through her some health issues. So I just had a conversation with her and said, "Look, mommy, at this stage of the game, we got to make some decisions for you. Now, you've been bossing us around, and even now, I'm 62. Even now, she could say a certain word, and to me, all my brothers and sisters, we all turned 15. I'm like, man, we got to quit doing that. Okay, we got to, stand strong together and let her know, man, Mama, you can't keep bullying us. Okay, out of respect, we got to make some decisions to help you. So and it's been working out.
It's a trip how life turns always, that's part of life. It goes down that road where you end up being the one that has to take care of your parents.
Yeah.
So the name Herm is not your birth name.
No. There's a whole story.
How did you get the name Herm?
Man, I got the name Herm. I went to the local barbershop, got a haircut, and it was fucked up. They like, man, you look like Herman the Monster. That's what I went to school the next day at Mission High School, and my partner, Thaxter Arterberry, he was a basketball star. So he like, man, Herman the Monster. They started calling me Herman the Monster. And that stuck for that first year. And then as my popularity grew, they took the monster part off and just started calling me Herm. And then Herm just stuck. It just stuck, And but I got that from a fucked up haircut.
So yeah, and you're going to Mission High School, so now you're getting outside of Hunters Point and you're meeting other kids from Frisco and going into other different communities. And how was the vibe of San Francisco in those days as in the city community?
It was cool because everybody from Hunters Point went to Mission. When they saw us integrating the school. Yeah. So if you stay,
because you also got Burton and Thurgood that's close to.
Yeah,
to
but see,
Point.
Burton and Thurgood was Wilson at the time.
That's right.
It was Wilson High School, and everybody from Double Rock and Hollister, most of them went to Wilson.
Got it.
Everybody from Harbor Road and West Point went to Mission. And it was cool interacting with different nationalities because, it was just a good vibe. And I was into sports. That was my motivation to go to school, to be on the basketball team. So as long as basketball and football was in effect, I'm at school, applying myself because you have to maintain a certain grade point average to even be on the team. So that right there kept me into sports. And back then, that's how we acquired our reputation.
Right.
Initially it was through going to school, playing sports. And if you was a star in sports, the women wanted to be in your presence. And after that, you went to college and you played sports. And, and that's where I got distracted at.
Yeah, you mentioned your couple of your brothers were getting involved in the streets, and then at a certain point, you started dabbling yourself, correct?
Yeah. Well, it's like we all was. I started when I was in Mission High School. This was a trip. I was in Mission High School. I'm playing basketball, but I started selling weed, right? I started selling weed.
That's kind of like a Frisco tradition, too.
Yeah, it's a tradition.
Yeah.
So I started selling weed.
Everybody sells a little bit of weed at some point.
Right. So I started selling weed, but then I have always had the biggest joints, the biggest bags or whatever. So I'm in class, and guys like, Herm, I'm in class. They knock it on the window. Like, Herm, what's up, Herm? Let me get... I'm like, dude, I'm in class. I'm in my science class. I'm trying to graduate. And it just became too difficult for me to continue to go to school because when I'm in class, I'm getting money. So I just started going to school. I'm hustling. I'm half-ass going to class. And I end up getting through. I end up getting through, but that's when my hustling career began. Because after Mission, I had a couple of lightweight scholarships to play ball, but I wasn't committed. I became committed to the streets more, getting my money that way. And I never did pursue the college basketball career. I was good. I had a UC Santa Barbara gave me an offer, and I just didn't pursue it the way I should have. But I got in the game.
Yeah, and that's interesting. So we're talking before the crack era and what probably most people think of when they think of hustling, but the weed game was booming in Frisco.
Oh, it was booming. Oh, yeah, it was booming, That's when we used to roll up the joints. I used to be out there, man, right there on 3rd with 200 joints every morning, and they gone.
Yeah.
500 joints. 2 for what? 2 for $5 for $3 or whatever it was. But, money was coming like that. Everybody that was going to school was smoking weed or getting, you buy so many from Herm, take them to schools, sell them for a higher price or whatever. But it was always been about hustling.
Was there anyone in the community, in the neighborhood that you were like looking up to or that was like lacing your boots in that sense in terms of like as you're getting deeper into that world?
I knew this was one guy his name was Blackhead. He was a star in the drug game. James Keith, these guys was older, but they took a liking to me because of my character and because of my hustle. They took a liking to me, so they sort of like put me under their wing. And then it was also this guy named Fishman. He became like a father to me, I never met my father. My biological father, I never met him. So Fishman sort of like become my father. So I'm hustling, and one day I think I had probably like $1,000. But I seen a car that I wanted to buy. So I go to him, I say, Fishman, I'm finna go buy this car. It was a Thunderbird, Suicide Doze, 67, clean as fuck. And he said, boy, let me tell you something. Give me that $1,000, take this weed, go sell this weed, then go buy the car, and you're going to still have some money.
Right.
I'm like, okay. He gave me a pound, right? I sold it. I done just what he told me to do. Went and bought the car, and now I'm rolling. Now I got money, to continue to flip. I done painted the car. The car done attracted one of the finest females in Hunters Point that approached me. And that's when my Herm status went from here to here. It's levels.
Oh, yeah.
My Herm status went from here to here when I met this young lady.
Yeah.
And so I'm riding around with her, and people are like, man, Herm doing it.
Yeah.
So
the right woman will definitely elevate you. Because it'll have people wondering how he do that.
Right.
How he get that?
Right.
He must be doing something right.
Right.
And this, so as I was saying, so this is before crack is coming out, but at a certain point, it does hit the streets.
It hit the streets, and when crack hit the streets, I was selling coke, just powder. I was selling ounces of powder.
So you were really getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I was when crack hit the street, I was selling powder and weed. But I was also getting loaded on the powder. Snorting powder, putting powder.
Because I was like seeing some fly shit back then too, right?
Yeah. That was considered fly shit. But
people didn't really trip off it being like harmful.
No. Yeah. People because you would still function. Right. You could still function. But if I'm an extremist. So I became discombobulated and start tweaking. So I'm, snorting powder, leaving my guys on the block for 2 days. I'm locked up in a hotel, fucking off an ounce of powder, and that wasn't good. And then, we used to put the powder in the weed.
Mm-hmm. Chewies.
Chewies came when they started putting crack in the weed. Mm-hmm. That's what fucked up. That's what fucked me up. Because at first we put the powder in the weed, you smoke the weed, you'd be good. You can still function. Go to the parties and kick it and all the shit, right? And then one day, I'm with this young lady, and she said, "Herm, let's try this. Let's roll up a Chewy joint." And that's when she had some crack, and she put it in there, and I smoked that shit, and I didn't want powder no more. I did not want to fuck with no powder no more. So I'm smoking the Chewies every time I smoke weed now. I'm putting that shit in it and I'm tweaking, right? And one day, I'm in Double Rock. I'll never forget, I'm in Double Rock and I had some crack but I didn't have no weed. And this chick, she out there, this bitch knew what she was doing. I see her right now. I don't fuck with her. This bitch was out there, she say, "Herm, I got some weed at the house." I'm like, all right, it's about 12 o'clock. I walk up to the bitch house. She go in there, act like she looking for some weed. Say, "Oh, I can't find it. I got this though." This bitch pull out a crack pipe. "Try this, Herm." My dumb ass tried it. Now I don't want no weed no more.
Right.
Now I'm straight up I'm smoking crack.
Yeah.
Toe up.
And go ahead.
And that lasted from 86, 85, 86. I was just going down like this. And before that, I was up here. After that, I started going like this. Went to jail, got out, Ended up going to the pen. I went to the county jail, got out. Got right back on the shit. Went back to the county jail, got probation, got out after 6 months. I'm clean. My brother was a millionaire. He was rich. So he had everything I needed. When I got out, Herm, he'll go car, he'll go place, all the shit. I stayed clean for 3 days. Back on that shit again. Then one night, I'm in Double Rock. I could have got killed. It was several times. God blessed me several times because I've done a lot of stuff that could have got me killed. So I'm in Double Rock, and the Samoans was out there, they hustling, and I walk up, tweaking like a motherfucker, and grab the Samoan sack, and I bust and run, right? Now, Dregs, when I take off running, it was a wall. So I just jumped the wall. I'm thinking the wall is like, bloop, bloop. Dude, I jumped the wall. It took me 10 minutes to get to the bottom. Dude, it took me the wall. I went to look at that wall not long ago. It took me hella long to get all the way to the bottom. They had the fence up, but then after the fence, it was just a long-ass drop. So the Samoans didn't even jump. They ran around because they knew the wall. I'm down there, man, barely can move because my ankle fucked up. Samoans whooping me. Bang, bang, bang. And one of the OGs named Fred, he may rest in peace. Fred came through. Hey, man, get up off of him. Get up off of him. He pulled his old ass gun out with a barrel this long. And he shot it in the air. It was rusty as hell. He shot it in the air, and the Samoans, they got up off me. And they let me go. Fred cussed me out, man, told me to take my ass home. I go home. I didn't come outside for like 3 days. After a few days, I come back outside. I'm sober now for 3 days. So when I come back outside, the Samoans, they still mad. They want to whoop me again. But the homies out there now, like, man, look, we ain't gonna just let y'all whoop on Herm. I had status because before I got towed up, I was looking out for everybody.
Right.
You know, so they said, man, we can go, I can go one-on-one. You know, and we going one-on-one, and I won. I beat the young dude that they put up against me. And me and him ended up eventually becoming cool because we ended up going to the penitentiary together. Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, you hear a lot about how crack swept through Black and brown communities, and a lot of people got tore up during those times and went from extreme highs to extreme lows. And, you know, you can laugh about it now, obviously, looking back at some of these things, but, you know, you were one of those people that got swept up in this epidemic.
Yeah.
And were you seeing, like, the rest of the community going through changes during that time as well?
Yeah, and you know, what's crazy is you do see people go through it, and I was fortunate because back in the days they used to say, if you was towed up, you got rescued. You didn't get arrested, Herm. You got rescued.
Yeah.
Because you wasn't free to make no changes.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to no drug program, none of that. You know, my partner got at me one day, say, Herm, I got 100 keys right now. And he'd had them. I knew this dude, he said, I got 100 keys right now. I'll give you whatever you want. I said, man, give me $100. I'm going to get loaded. He said, man, I ain't fucking with you no more, huh?
Yeah, man.
So it's like, I seen people that never got rescued, okay? And if you weren't fortunate enough to pull yourself up by just sheer strength, or go to a rehabilitation program, Delancey Street, or something like that, it took me going to the penitentiary.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was in jail, I didn't look for no drugs. I got the Bible, I got the books, I started educating myself, and that's what kept me focused on being clean and sober. You know, but even after going, I went and done 2 years in the penitentiary. I done 2 years in the penitentiary. I'm clean and sober. I get out and I'm looking like I am now. I think I'm 30 years old, fresh. And I knew what I can accomplish as long as I ain't on drugs. Yeah. So when I got out, I stayed clean for the first 7 days after 2 years.
Can I ask you a question real quick about your time on the inside? Because in your book, you mentioned that you're also like programming with some BGF. Yeah. And BGF cats, Black Guerrilla family, and they had a positive impact on you as well. Yeah. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, you know, when I went to the pen, you know, I was a shot caller for you know, the Bay Area 415 car back then. You know, so people, the BGFs, they just was looking at me from a distance, from afar, and like, man, this dude right here got character. You know, let's try to recruit him.
So you were kind of like bouncing back to your old self once you got.
Oh yeah, once sober. I was in jail, yeah.
That Herm status.
Yeah, the Herm status come back. Yeah, exactly. It's all about, and that happens with everybody that go to jail. You can catch a motherfucker out here that's toe up. You go to jail and you get 6 months in clean, and you get your mind back. Now your true identity start to surface.
But that's still some willpower, right? Because you can still get access to the things on the inside as well.
Yeah. You gotta discipline yourself. And one thing about me, I did not want to be in jail tweaking. Yeah. You know, I didn't want to be in jail tweaking. So I didn't even. The temptation wasn't there for me when I was locked up. Yeah. So, you know, so the BGF brothers, they reached out to me, and I never officially committed, but I had some material, some literature that they was providing me. Hey, check this out, young homie, check this out. And I'm listening, you know, I'm reading it. And the goon squad come in my cell, and they find the literature. So just having BGF literature is going to get you an indeterminate issue program. I didn't have no knowledge of this. I'm finna get out next week. Could you imagine that? I done 2 years. Next week, I'm getting out.
Mm-hmm.
They find this literature. Then they find a knife. Then they send me to solitary confinement for a whole nother year.
Mm.
Yeah, for a whole nother year. And then when they sent me for that extra year, I had just quit smoking cigarettes, Campbell's, and the Brugler. I had just quit smoking that. And when they put me in the SHU program, the only thing that was in there, and this is where I know God spoke to me just as clearly as I'm speaking to you now. In the cell, it had the Bible, which I just started reading, and it had a pack of cigarettes. Mm. And God told me clear as day, if you smoke the cigarettes, you're going to smoke crack when you get out. Mm. If you read the Bible, I'm going to walk you through this year. Dude, I threw the cigarettes out, and the year was like this. Just smooth, effortlessly.
In solitary.
In solitary confinement. Got out, and that's when I became who I am now.
That's quite a story, man.
Oh, yeah, yeah. If I would have picked up the cigarettes,
yeah,
God don't play.
I think a lot of people, they don't put their willpower to the test enough like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to challenge yourself to cut out certain habits.
Yeah.
Even if everyone around you's doing it, even if you've been doing it. You know, if you're dealing with any type of addiction, whether it's tobacco, weed, or any alcohol, whatever, you know, moderation, if you can push yourself to just say, you know what, I'm going to just take the weekend off.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2 weeks without it just to see if you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you can get through something like that, you can damn near do anything, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. And you gotta, you're right, you gotta challenge yourself and test your willpower and be like, you know what? I'm not gonna indulge for the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Or you gotta make a personal commitment to yourself, like, hey, I'm gonna go do this consistently
for 10 push-ups, 20 push-ups, 30
for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
And follow through on it. And when you follow through on it, you're gonna feel good about yourself, and it's gonna give you the enthusiasm to do something else productive.
So what year do you get out of the pen?
I got out in 1989. Mm. I got out in 89.
And what was your game plan, and what were you planning to do moving forward from there?
When I got out the pen, man, my game plan was to just associate with positive individuals. Individuals that was hustling, that was kingpins, but they wasn't using no drugs. They was getting thousands of dollars, rubber band stacks. I just want to associate with individuals like that had the Benzes, had the material stuff, and was moving shit majorly, but they wasn't indulging in drugs.
Did that require you to cut out certain people, like you mentioned, maybe some of these females or other people that wasn't on that level?
Yeah, it required me to have the discipline to deal with boredom.
Yeah.
Boredom, just, I'm with my brother. He was a major, major player. But he's the most bored. Being with him is boring because he ain't smoking no weed. He ain't drinking. Only thing he's doing is lifting weights and talking about getting money and talking about positive stuff. And if you can't associate with him in that atmosphere, then you're gonna be pulling your hair out. So, and anybody else he associated with was on that level. Mm-hmm. He would sit down, and that's when we was, write money orders. He probably write $5,000 worth of money orders to pay bills, and that was his thing. That was him getting high. All right, man, we're finna go downstairs and work out. We had the gym downstairs in his house, and everybody from the neighborhood that was, hitting heavyweight would come by, and that was the thing. But if you couldn't be in that atmosphere, if you had to leave here to go over there because you wanted to do something slick, by the time when you got back, he done moved on to the next stage. So you done missed the opportunity. So I told myself, I'm just gonna be with him. And being with him, I end up being with other individuals of his caliber. And that was my game plan, and it was effective.
So you went back to hustling, but you went with a different perspective.
When I went back to hustling up under his umbrella, right? But, you know, hey, Herm, go drop this off to Dregs. Man, hey, Dregs, Herm dropping it off. What? Tweaking ass Herm? My shit for to be short, right? So nobody wanted to, Herm dropping it off. So I had to reestablish my credibility. So, you know, I had to drop it off and do everything to perfection to gradually build the trust to where, because if you got to wait on him, you may be waiting until tomorrow. But if you say Herm dropping it off and I drop it off and everything is copacetic, then it's good. So I had built that up, and then me and my wife, she passed away. May she rest in peace. Me and her, we moved up to Harbor Road. When we moved up to Harbor Road, I didn't know Black Chris. I didn't know Booby. I didn't know none of them. The big black cats, the RBL, I didn't know none of them. I was just...
They're a little younger than you.
Yeah, they was younger than me. But when I moved up to Harbor, they never knew me as Toe Up Herm. When I moved up to Harbor, I was like this.
He was Fresh Herm.
I'm Fresh Herm.
Yeah.
So, and then I got the sack. I had the shit. I had the top of the line shit coming from my family. So when I moved up there, I was able to provide them with the top of the line shit. And then I'm out there, I'm reading my books. Everything that I done in the penitentiary, even when I was hustling, I would do on the block. And they'd be like, man, Herm up there reading the book. Herm up there with the Bible. I'm not trying to introduce nobody else. I'm just doing it for myself. And them guys gradually started coming around. And that's when Black Chris said, man, Herm, we want you to come to the studio and say something on our tape, right? That's when I said on the Lesson to Be Learned album,
right?
The Bammerweed album. Mm-hmm. You know, that was my first time ever being in the studio.
And as we're talking about this time period too, I imagine when you went in and when you got out, the turf wars had kind of started.
Yeah.
So was that something new that you were seeing when you got out?
When I went in, when I got out, the turf wars was there, but I'm so socially respectful to where nobody ever approached me about, because when I was West Point, I stayed in all these areas. So when I got out, I never was hesitant to go to Double Rock and jump out. I never was hesitant to go to West Point and jump out. It was always all love, you know, but then, you know, just knowing that like certain individuals from Harbor, they couldn't go to West Point. West Point couldn't come over here. Or if they did, we'd have a basketball tournament, something that eventually escalate, and it'd be a physical altercation that ended up transitioning into some gunplay. And my position was always the peacekeeper. Like, dude, man, y'all don't need to do this. Y'all, man, we need to discontinue this. Man, we need to squash that, you know. So that was always my position, you know, and initially it was, you know, Harbor Road and West Point and Oakdale. But then it started becoming beef within the own set. You know, Harbor Road beefing with Harbor Road. West Point beefing with Oakdale or whatever, you know. And the shit just escalated. But it never affected, and I'm thankful because I'm a gangster. Whatever era that was affected when I was involved, I was a part of it. But my era was basketball, sport, basketball, baseball, whatever sporting season, that was what we was doing. And I was a major factor. After that, it was the cars. You know, everybody was, you know, if you wasn't hustling about no tennis shoes, if you was a hustler back when we was hustling on Third and getting money, we was buying cars. We was having our own apartments. We was having 2 apartments, you know, because we was getting money like that. You know, we wasn't just hustling and say, oh, man, I'm going to buy a pair of Jordans. I'm going to the mall. We used to do all that. But you know, as things start changing, it never affected me because I never was involved. If I was a gangbanger, I would have been a factor because I have always been a factor. And I'm thankful that I wasn't a gangbanger, you know. I missed that era.
Well, it sounds like Black C recognized all these things in you as you being a leader, someone who's actually from the streets, from the struggles, been to the pen, got out, kicked the dope, sold dope, all these trials and tribulations, but still maintain an intelligent, positive perspective. Like, as I'm hearing you tell your story, it just translates so well into the type of talking you do on the record.
Mm-hmm.
Was that, I mean, that's just kind of, like, it seems like almost kind of random, though, that he's just, like, grabs you, like, hey, just say something. Like, were you surprised or, like?
No, because you know, I was always, them dudes was younger than me, but they admired me because, you know, I had just moved up there. I'd had me a couple of whips. I had the convertible. I had the Cadillac. I had a wife. I had the son, another son. I was raising a family, and they was right up under me, you know, and they was ready to emulate that. So I would be out on the block, like, man, come on, let's go work out. We had the gym up on Harvard, you know, outside. We pushed the weight. I'm hitting 400. So they was all captivated by that. I used to inspire them to do the weights. And then, you know, we'd have grudge matches on the basketball court. We'd go to the gym, have grudge matches on the hoop court. And it used to be Tilo and me. No, I'm sorry. It was me and Larry, Big Larry, not little Larry June, but his daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Me and his daddy against Mr. C and Tilo. And man, we used to battle. We'd start off the blacktop down on the outside. Then we'll go up to the gym. We put money up. We'll be having battles. And, you know, so all of that was the positivity that I brought that was still in the hood. It was all in the hood, but it was just, I was reachable. So, you know, and I'm reading the books, and I'm, you know, Toto, Chris' brother, he was the youngest, but he was real intelligent and real gangster. And he was like a leader. You know, Chris is a leader through the music, through the rap, and, you know, just his reputation alone. Toto would be the one that organized and stuff. Let's do this, let's do that. And so Chris came to me and like, Herm, we want to get my alarm going on. Chris would come and say, Herm, we want you to come to the studio. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm there. I go down to the studio with TC and recorded that song. And the thing about it, I ended up going back to jail, right? I prayed on that 5 days ago, well, last week, because May 1st, 1992, Black Chris and them album dropped,
right.
That first album.
Mm-hmm.
I'd done that intro on that first album, but I had caught a case a year before. I had like 4 ounces, and I'm walking, and they raided. I threw the fucking shit, and police found it, so I fought the case for a year. The day that I didn't know nothing. I wasn't tripping on the popularity or the attention or the recognition I was going to get from what I said on that album. I just, okay, whatever. I turned myself in May the 1st, 1992, to do 6 months. I'm in jail, and, you know, a month go by, and my wife comes, everybody like what you said on that RBL tape. I'm like, what? I called home, and my sister got it on her voicemail. Then my wife come up with RBL T-shirts on and shit. I'm like, what's going on? Herm, everybody love RBL. So people in the county jail that's coming in is, man, Herm, they loving what you said. So I'm like, okay. So now, and I got like 20,000 out on the streets, you know, put up
Yeah.
So when I get out, I'm in the music business.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm in the music business. So I'm walking the little yard up at the county jail, do my 6 months, get out. And this is the thing. I do 6 months in the county jail in San Bruno. I get out. They accidentally let me out. October the 16th. They accidentally let me out. Now, I get my paperwork saying, oh, you're going to be released, whoop, whoop, whoop. But I'm already knowing, in reality, I'm supposed to get released and get shipped to San Quentin to finish my time, right? They accidentally let me out of the county jail, Bruno, right? So I'm like, man, shit, I'm gone. My wife picked me up. It was a Friday. I'm out of here. They let me out. I jump in the yellow Volvo and we dip off. The 49ers playing Atlanta that weekend. We went to the game. We done the nasty. We had sex. We done it again and again. But at this time, I'm more mature and I'm respecting the rules and regulations of the law. I got a parole officer. He was a Filipino dude, like 6'5", biggest, like he was like the biggest Filipino I ever knew. And he was mean as fuck. He say, so they had me on high risk parole. So they accidentally let me out. So I'm thinking like, okay, if I be honest and go down to the parole office, maybe he gonna be like, you know what? We'll scratch the 90 days. Just keep doing good. I go down to the parole office praying, got my son and my wife with me. That motherfucker come out and as soon as he see me, he threw the cuffs on me. The next day I'm in San Quentin. I'm like, my wife crying, the kid crying. I'm in San Quentin the next day. I got to do 90 days. They sent me to, I got that indeterminate shoe program. So they sent me to East Block where the death row inmates is. I sit up there for 90 days. Get out. And I've been out since.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been out since, yeah.
And it's because RBL blew up, neighborhood superstars, soon to be Bay Area superstars, nationwide superstars. Now you're seeing, and then the response that you're getting just from speaking on one outro or intro on the track, you're thinking maybe this music thing is something that I can do with my life. This is somewhere I could take my hustle that I learned from the streets and now I can apply it to this rap thing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, when I got out, initially, I wanted to be a motivational speaker. I still do want to be a motivational speaker, So initially, my plan when I done the first compilation, that one, it was, hey, man, I'm going to do a motivational speech just like I done on the RBL album on the front and the back. And we on Harvard, just like we normally do. We chopping it up. And Chris, out of all people, like, well, Herm, if you're going to do, you might as well let us do a song on there. How can you turn them down? They the hottest thing in the Bay right now. Okay. I don't have no knowledge of the music business. I'm just like, okay, I got some cash. And I'm willing to follow somebody else's lead. If you lead me the right way, I can grab your coattail and hold on. Okay, I'm not going to let you lead me down the ditch. But if it's sincere and authentic, let's roll. So Chris said, man, we'll do a song on the B side. I'm like, okay. And then Rappin' Forte pulled up. Like, oh, yeah, we talking music. I put something on there. So I got RBL and Rappin' Forte. And then Forte say, well, man, we can't do a compilation. I didn't even know what a compilation was. We can't do a compilation if we ain't gonna go get Cougnut. So, like, man, well, let's get Cougnut. We get Cougnut to go meet with them and we chop it up. And now it's just a snowball effect.
So that was your first time meeting those dudes?
Yeah. Well, I knew Forte.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Forte done sat down. We done sat in the car and studied together, read the Bible together and stuff like that. But that was my first time meeting Cougnut. And then JT, the Bigga Figga, he was a star, and he was at the skating ring one day doing a show or something. I said, man, I'm going to go down there and just introduce myself. I go down there, JT hella cool, like, oh, yeah, big homie, it's good, man, we can do it. So I hook up with JT. He brings San Quinn and Demo. And then Fly Nate the Bankster. He had just got out the pen. He dips up. He pulls up and say, and just start rapping. We up there kicking. He saw, man, this dude rapped like 36 bars straight. Just spitting. Like, damn, man, we got to get you on the tape, Nate. That's how it all actually all happened and materialized. And then we just TC, you know, and the enhancer, they walked me through, you know, the different channels, and I met Victor Hall, went over there and broke him off, and you know, then after that first album, now I got the wisdom, I got some resources, and people was reaching out to me now.
Well, Trying to Survive in the Ghetto, that first compilation, groundbreaking project for San Francisco, the Bay Area, and the whole West Coast. Possibly the very first Bay Area compilation.
Yeah. Compilation originator, Herm Lewis. Herm Lewis, the compilation originator. Remember that?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I mean, basically, right place, right time. As this Frisco rap scene is growing, but at the same time, it's still grassroots enough that you can pull up on JT at a skating rink.
Right, right.
The hottest rapper. You see, this is the thing that I really admire about that era, is that it's so close to the soil.
Yeah.
To where you got a cat from Filmo, Fote, just pulls up on Harbor one day.
Yeah.
And that's how the business is transacted.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's a little disappointing because you got a lot of cats claiming Frisco or claiming neighborhoods in Frisco, but you don't run into them.
No.
And they're not connected with what's actually going on in the community.
Right.
And that's what made Frisco so special to me as far as music back then, is that like you would see these dudes around. They were accessible. They were doing shows at the community centers.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing shows at the school and the nightclubs, and they were just in the area.
In the area. Selsky would come through. You know, Demo, everybody. I mean, it was just like you say, it was, you know, you just see them on Third.
Right.
You know, just at the gym. You know, because back then, coming to the gym was part of it. You know, if you ain't hustling, or if it's slow, if the police just raid it, fuck, you can't be out there. So you go to the gym and get in some basketball games. You know, probably shoot some dice or just sit back and chill. Because the police is out there, so you got to know when to... and then there's certain police would be on at certain times, and certain... Man, I'm not going out there. Max on duty. Max will know exactly what you're doing. And if he want to come and see you, he going to come and see you. So, you know, cats, you know, we had different activities to get involved in to just prolong your freedom, as well as, you know, make some music.
Well, the compilation was a hit. It was a success.
Oh, yeah, major success.
So you were getting into the mom and pops. You were getting it distributed. You were out the trunk, posters, flyers, tapes, CDs.
Man, it's
you're in the game. You're throwing shows. Yeah. You're pulling up at high schools. Yeah, you're doing everything you got to do. Yeah. Investing all the money you had at the time.
Exactly.
And it paid off.
Exactly, it did. And, you know, we even had the show. We had the show over at, what's that, Rasputin's over in Berkeley?
Sure.
What's that,
the record store? Yeah.
Yeah. They had a stage set up in there, you know, and they wanted us to come, so I grabbed Fote, Cougnut, RBL, and we all go over there. And we do a show, man, and there's a hell of people out there, college kids. We signing autographs, selling out our music right there. Everybody's shit selling. You know, that was cool. And, you know, it's like creative music.
Yeah, rest in peace, Joe.
Creative music, rest in peace, Joe. That was a nice piece you done on him.
Right on.
Creative music gave me, you know, there's always somebody that tap you and just give you that confidence to keep going, to give you that bolt of confidence, like, man, look, I'm with you. I went over to creative music, man. He said, man, I want a box of these and a box of these and a box of these. Give me 2 of each. I'm like, wrote the check. And I think 3 weeks later, he needed some more. And me and him and his wife established a beautiful relationship because of that situation. I even purchased them tickets to go to a show one time. It was a R&B show, you know. I think the OJs, you know. But I bought them 2 tickets to go, and you know, they gave me that initial confidence that my shit was hot. Then I go down to music store on 3rd Street, sold out. Go to, what's that? It was over in Oakland. I think it was T's Wazoozies, sold out. All these different mom and pop stores, Showtime, over in Fillmore. So, all the stores were selling out. And at the time, I only had to purchase what I think I had 1,000 CDs and 1,000 cassettes. That shit was gone. Bang! So I ordered 3,000 and 3,000. Gone. Now City Hall and music people is tapping in. Music, I'm scared of music people after the relationship they had with RBL. And RBL was my loved one. So I'm like, man, I'm not finna deal with them under no circumstances. They got to pay up front because I knew the trials and tribulations that the young homies that went through getting money from them.
Yeah.
So I wasn't finna deal with that. So I said, Frankie J, Rappin Forte manager, got at me and said, Herm, Walter over at City Hall want to speak to you about your album. I'm like, all right. So I go over to Walter, City Hall, and he say, how many you got? So I got 3,000 cassettes and 3,000 CDs. He said, I want to buy them all. When you going to get some more? I'm like, he said, because these are going to be gone. Now I'm like, okay, I still got a few dollars. Then I got money coming in. So I called the girl Violet from Rainbow Records. I don't know if you know, she was real cool. I never met her personally, but I know E40 and all of them knew her personally. And she knew of me, and she knew how my music was selling. So I called her. She said, Herm, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to front you 10,000 CDs and 10,000 cassettes. And when you sell out, you just bring in the money. Because she knew what was happening too. They was more knowledgeable than me. So I get the 10,000, take them to City Hall, I get broke off, everything sell through. Then it sell through again, and it kept selling. Now, initially, when I put that album out, my objective was, and everybody had the same objective, we was gonna sell locally in Hunters Point, maybe a few people in Sunnydale, we're gonna just be Fillmore. The people that was on the tables go, and that shit just it just built a snowball effect and it kept selling.
It's amazing, man.
Yeah. It kept selling.
Amazing, bro.
It kept selling, and that was a beautiful thing. Fun time, and I appreciate everything about that album, the experience, the studio sessions, the after effects, it wasn't no animosity, everybody got properly compensated because there wasn't no expectations. And I never fell out with nobody. Nobody never fell out with me. And the people that I worked with back then, I can still work with today.
That's what's up, man. And that's Frisco's finest.
Yeah.
IMP, Forte, RBL, Cold World Hustlers, Sugar Bear, Selsky, Ghetto Players, Fly Nate. Dope, man.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it almost seems like Master P was taking notes because his compilation features some of the same artists.
Oh, yeah.
And features you on the intro over a Selsky beat.
Right.
Doing your thing.
Yeah. And Master P, he was taking notes. And Master P was, he capitalized on the momentum that I built.
Because it came right after. West Coast Bad Boys.
And what happened is, because Master P had that album 99 Ways to Die with the two guns. Yeah. And none of the major record stores would carry that album because of the two guns. So he sort of like threw that on the shelf, and when he seen the success of Trying to Survive in the Ghetto, like, this motherfucker don't even rap. And he's selling these kind of... So Master P, he had already at a record store. He had already...
Yeah, were you dealing with him at his record store?
No, I didn't know him. Right. I didn't know Master P until he reached out to me about doing the intro on his album. I knew of his music, so he got at me and say, Herm, I'm finna do a compilation. I want you to do... we was in the studio like this. He slid through. I think I was there There's a few other people there. He came in there, man, broke me off, broke this person off, said, man, I'm finna go over. He was just moving, right? So we recorded this thing. Then he wanted to do the video. And it was cool. He capitalized on what he seen that was effective. And then he used all the artists that I had, but then he added Sibo. He had a Spice One.
I don't know if Spice One was on there.
What's the name from L.A.?
There was like Ray Love was on there, Totally Insane. It was more like a Bay Area thing, whereas you were just like Frisco.
Right. And he had, I know he had Sibo on there, didn't he?
Yeah, Sibo's on there as well. Yeah.
And it was cool. And it took off. And, that right there is what put him in position to go down to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Because at the time, him and the Loonies had just started to beef over the ice cream man situation. And Master P said, you know what? And he moved down to New Orleans and took all the Bay Area game down there. And he capitalized again. He capitalized on the initial compilation, but then when he went to New Orleans with this Bay Area game, he capitalized again. Because back then, New Orleans, see, there's a lot of people don't realize, Seattle, Portland, New Orleans, Detroit, they was our biggest fans.
Right.
Because they didn't have hot local rappers.
They didn't have a scene of their own.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't have a scene of their own, so they was like on the Bay Area stuff. And then once they established a scene of their own, Mystical was one of the first ones from New Orleans. And I was in New Orleans in '96, and I met Mystical, and he was hot back then, And I'm the one who gave RBL Black Chris the Mystical CD cassette. Chris played that cassette on Harbor every day until it popped. And then he ended up doing the song with him.
Well, speaking of RBL, I mean, that's a group that's tied to your story. And I also read about this in your book, that you were basically seeing everything go down when Harbor Road had a split between basically the Big Block faction coming in and RBL kind of having problems in their own neighborhood, which eventually led to Mr. C being killed. What was your perspective of seeing all that go down?
It was depressing. It was sad because there was so much talent among everybody, and the Big Block guys, they had talent, but the RBL had already established something, and I just was under the impression like, let's roll with RBL as, the front runner, and Big Block because Sugar Bear was gonna be next up under the RBL umbrella, until Big Block established their own thing and they took Sugar Bear, but. If Big Block if Sugar Bear would have went with RBL, could you imagine a Sugar Bear album right after that compilation?
Yeah.
Because everybody was on him.
Yeah, like the first song on there.
Yeah, coming up out the cuts.
Intro, yeah.
Everybody wanted Sugar Bear. Okay. But he ended up signing with Big Block, and he lost some momentum because Big Block Booby, he didn't put it out in a timely fashion. He eventually put it out, but by the time he put it out, he had lost a lot of momentum. But I was just like, if it would have came out up under RBL Right Way production, like they thought it was, then Hitman.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had RBL, we had Sugar Bear, we had Hitman. Then Booby wasn't necessarily a rapper. But he was knowledgeable and he was very influential.
Yeah.
And, my thing was, dude, it's a position for everybody. Let Chris and Mr. C do that music's part of it. I was carrying the bags. I didn't give a fuck. I'm Herm anyway. I'm Herm wherever I go. So I can carry the bags, walk through the airport. I just like being in the atmosphere, Me and Booby could have been on that same page. We could have been, because we was factors. Booby was a factor. I was a factor. He could have had Big Block Records. I got Black Power records, but we could have just stayed up under the RBL umbrella.
Yeah.
That was just how I thought about it. And got nothing but love for Booby, Big Block, and the people that's associated. Got nothing but love, and my allegiance is to RBL and everything that Black Chris is committed to. And the thing about it is, what I love about Booby and I love Black Chris, both of them came to me and say, Herm, you the only one that can fuck with both of us. Because the position that you hold right now is the position that you held from the beginning. I never sided on Big Block. I never sided with, look, I'm rolling right here. I respect you, because, and it was always love. And Booby and Chris, they both respected that. And now that, Booby done, 20 years. Chris been out here handling his business. He have lost Mr. C. He have lost Hitman. He lost his baby's mother recently. And he's he done been through a lot of trials and tribulations. Booby done 20 years and he done been through. So at this stage of the game, we grandparents now. So everybody, and I'm not gonna just jump out there, but I just feel like everybody have matured to a certain level now to where it's like, okay, let's just keep on living.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's just keep on living and let's see where it ends. Hopefully, where not where it ends, but let's keep on living and hopefully someday we can all sit and do something like this together.
Yeah, that would be dope.
That would be dope as hell.
Yeah.
If we can all, and Herm, Booby, Chris, we can all sit at the table and talk about Harbor Road and possibly do a reunion and bring everybody together. But it gotta be sincere, it gotta be authentic, and it can't be no betrayal.
Right.
Okay, because that and you can't have no secret agenda to where, Herm done put his name out there, Chris done we all done made a commitment to bring everybody together, and then there's one person that's still holding animosity from 20 years ago. And no, we don't want to do that. So that's why with the RBL, the Big Block, is real delicate. And you got to be real selective on what you say and how you say it.
I think people can learn a lot from your example of how you're involved to the extent where you know both these brothers and people on both sides, but you're not part of the politics and you're not feeding into negativity. Mm-hmm. I think that says a lot to your character. And as we're going through this timeline, you just keep doing your thing. You appeared on RBL's second album. You're dropping the second compilation.
Yeah.
Still trying to survive in the ghetto. And that's kind of like a new generation of Frisco artists.
Yeah.
Or newer or just different where you got 11-5 on there. Mm-hmm. And Primo, Dre Dog. You're doing your
Crooked
thing.
Crow.
Yeah.
Herm Lewis, surviving in the ghetto too. The Crooked Crow, City of the Players, Primo.
Yeah, man, there's some classics on there as well.
Yeah, 11-5.
Yeah, so were you just seeing it's the situation where you're just like, oh, I could just keep doing this. I could just keep banging these out.
Yeah, like I say, I'm an extremist. And when I've got something that's going good in a positive direction, I take it to the extreme. And that's been what I've been doing since I've been clean and sober. If it's productive and positive, I'm going to take it to the extreme and try to maximize and benefit as much as possible. So, the compilation, man, it was just fun. It was fun. And then it was fun, and then it was also giving people opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, you're putting people on.
Yeah.
And you're giving them hits.
Yeah, too. Yeah. Giving people opportunities.
Did you see, was there a point where it just kind of slowed down or it dried up or you just felt like, I'm finna start doing some other things?
Well, just what it was is, let me tell you this. What's that, Funky Fat Graphics. You done something on Funky Fat Graphics too. I liked it too.
Right on.
Okay, Funky Fat Graphics, the guy over there, I forgot his name. What was his name? I forgot his name.
Oh man!
But anyway,
I know it. I can't.
Anyway, he used to always get at me because I was
talking about one of the brothers, right?
Yeah,
two brothers.
There's two brothers.
Yeah.
But anyway, he used to always get at me like, Herm, when you gonna come and see me and let me do some graphics and whoop whoop whoop. And I was dealing with Victor Hall, because Victor Hall was raised. He was just tight to me. But on my Herm 2000 compilation, I went to Funky Fat Graphics. Thomas and Tracy. That was my album was the last album to come out of that facility. The Herm 2000, right? The reason why, they just shut the doors.
Right.
And left. And the brother who had just, I think his name was Janelle, he had just got out the feds. And he knew of my penitentiary associates or whatever. And he said, man, we can't close the fucking facility without Herm getting his shit. I gave them like 20 racks. And they was finna close. Janelle came in and said, man, we got to make sure Herm get his stuff. Went over there and got my stuff. And the next day, they was closed. Building locked up. I got a big-ass U-Haul and took everything to City Hall and dropped it off. And yeah.
So and
that right there was, that's when my enthusiasm started to decrease a little bit because I got paid for that album, and that album sold good, but no album could sell like this one. And Walter over at City Hall told me, say, Herm, let me tell you something. That first compilation, you don't get them type of miracles every time you release an album.
Yeah.
Because I was going up there thinking I'm trying to get that type of response every time, and it don't happen. So the Herm 2000, that dropped. And then, City Hall wasn't paying people, and they was talking about chargebacks and all this other bullshit. Everything didn't sell through, and people was just getting frustrated with them. So Brandon, Brandon?
Brand One?
Brandon, he's from Oakdale. He used to fuck with Cold World Hustlers in 11-5.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Anyway, he had a gig up at Bayside Records in Sacramento. I go to the Delinquents party over in San Francisco. The Delinquents had a record release party, and I run into JT the Bigga Figga. And JT, he got this influence on me. I run into JT the Bigga Figga. He say, Herm, what is you waiting on? Man, the people need to hear from you, Herm. You need to go drop a compilation, man. What is you waiting on? I'm like, JT, man, I'm burnt out. He said, man, look, I got a plug for you, man. I can get you 50,000, man. Go drop a compilation and get at me. So I was like, you gonna be on it? So I get all the guys, everybody. This right here is Back in Stride again. I got everybody on this tight album. And showed up, I take it up to Bayside Records, and they rolled me a check for 50 racks. Mm. That's why, through the JT connection. And once he introduced me, I took it from there. But I got a check for 50 racks for my Back in Stride album, and then that album sold good, and then I ended up doing then my boy had he was doing a compilation, and he had a song with Keek the Sneak, and he just had a verse with Keek the Sneak, and he had a verse with somebody else, and he was stuck. He had ran out of money. Herm, man, can you help me? So I jumped in and helped him, and I think we called that We Made It Happen. That was a compilation, and it done cool. Went through Bayside Records also. Then after that, I just, the digital thing took over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with this first compilation, it was just the right place, right time.
Oh, yeah.
Frisco, yeah. Bay Area history. It was all new.
Yeah.
It was just coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I started making music right when CDs was about to die completely. Uh-huh. I'm like probably one of the last generations that grew up like I went going to creative music. I'm probably one of the last ones.
One of the last customers.
Yeah, and that was me at like 19. You feel me? Like trying to get my foot in the door. Right. And I think between all like so many artists coming out, the market being saturated, the sales being low, the internet, all these things, it ain't like it used to be.
No.
I feel like, though, you made history, you paid your dues. I think also what's really important is you put a lot of positive messages out there, bro.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. And you know, I appreciate that because I want to, you want to be acknowledged for your contribution.
Yeah.
You know, in the music business, I'm a factor. I've been a factor, and even today, I'm still relevant.
Well, one thing that I think keeps you relevant in today's for younger people who weren't around at all for that era that we're talking about is showing up on Larry June's albums.
Oh yeah, that was big.
I think just even some of the younger people that follow me, I feel like that's how a lot of them are getting introduced to you.
Yeah, sure.
So for those who don't know, explain your relationship with Larry and what's it been like to be featured on some of his projects.
My relationship, that's my nephew, you know, and he used to come around to the house when he was like 7, 8, 10 years old, when I was the star. I was a star. I was him. Where he at now? And I used to, like my garage, he'd come in there and just look in amazement, like, and see all the pictures, see his daddy posted, because his daddy had a compilation called The Pusher Man. You ever seen that?
Nah.
Man, look at that up. The Pusher Man compilation.
Okay.
This fool, this daddy got a compilation, and it was the Pusher Man compilation. He had some of everybody on there. And the album cover was a triple beam with CD, with cassette tapes stacked on it.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, the triple beam, man. Yeah, that's my, so I had all these posters and stuff up, and Lil Larry used to come through, and he used to just be like, in amazement. I never thought nothing of it, but he had this conversation with me just recently. Like, oh, I used to come there, man, I used to be amazed. You know, I'd come in there your house, I see B Legit hanging around and rapping folk taste. Say, man, I was impressed with that. And say, man, you had a big influence on me. You never know what type of influence you have on an individual.
Yeah.
When they're younger or even at an older age. And when he told me that, I'm like, oh, man, cool. So he had just hit me out the clear blue. I've been on his music, but my son and him is the same age. Mm-hmm. So I see Lil Larry, he had a show coming up in San Francisco. I said, I'm not even finna call him and tell him I'm coming or nothing. I'm just showing up. So I show up, go to the show, get in there, man. Black Chris and them in there, they performed that night. And dude, this packed.
Yeah.
All these different people in there. And everybody in there smoking weed. I'm talking about from the beginning of the stage all the way to this cloudy. I go downstairs to his VIP area, and he got nothing but fruit, oranges, water, everything organic. I'm impressed. So my son is putting me up on what Lil Larry is about. And I'm like, man, that's cool. He got to be different. So when he come up to perform, dude, he a rock star. Chris is on this side of the stage, Black Chris, and I'm on this side of the stage. And we looking at Lil Larry just got the crowd captivated. And Chris looked at me and I looked at him and say, man, he's a fucking rock star. And he just had the crowd jumping. And a couple of weeks later, he hit me like, I want you to come to the studio and drop some knowledge on the album. I'm like, I'm there. And one thing about it, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Sugar Free said. Opportunity may present itself, and you want to always be prepared. So I stay writing, and I write stuff for individuals like Master P.
Right.
Ice Cube, E40. One of them guys happened to call me. I'm not going to have to go from scratch. I got some shit that's going to captivate the attention of the people. So I keep, 4, 5 things that's in the cuts, right? So when Larry hit me, I know, I'm like, man, I got to come right. And when I went to the studio, and he was impressed. He's like, oh, Hug, this is good. And I got on there. And I accumulated so many new fans by being affiliated with him to where I'm at events now, and my partner's daughter or my partner's son, it's like, man, is that Herm? Is that the one that's on Larry Jones' tape? And they say, yeah. And they looking at me like I'm a star, but they daddy's like, that's Herm.
Right.
But the kids is looking at me, that's Herm. That's Herm Lewis. That's Uncle Herm. So I love it, man. I love it. You know, it's like he extended my career. You know, he extended my career. And just same with Black Chris. And Black Chris say it all the time. It's like he dusted me off. He dusted Black Chris off. And that's giving back.
Right,
because
right.
if you look, he been influenced by Black Chris, Mr. C, RBL Posse. He been influenced by that, and so he wanted to give back. And what better way to give back is than to dust a used to be platinum artist off and give him that shine.
For sure.
So he can continue to eat.
Yeah, man.
Same with me. You know, it created more opportunities for me just being affiliated with him. So yeah, it's good. Same with you.
All right on, brother. Same shit. Likewise. Feel the same way, man. I'm honored to be building with you. I'm honored to have built this relationship with you as someone who grew up listening to you and RBL and all the other artists we mentioned on this platform. My thing here with the history of the Bay is bringing these generations together and hopefully putting some content out there that may outlive both of us.
That's it.
That future generations can see and look back on and learn from. Mm-hmm. And where we started in this episode, from your beginnings at Hunter's Point to now, you're a new age 2023 rock star with Larry Jones. I mean, it's dope, bro. And there's space to keep going. Yeah. And it's you mentioned you're in your 60s and you still look good and you're still healthy, and your son's doing big things too. Shout out to Lil Herm.
So what do you do?
Jr. Yeah. So what do you do? Real cool brother. I got the chance to build with him too. And man, I'm excited to see where you go from here, man. And anything you ever need, you know I'm a phone call away.
Good looking.
I appreciate you.
Vice versa. Appreciate it.
Any final words out there for the people watching?
Man, stay positive, stay productive. Tap in and check out Blackboard Wednesdays. Episode 41 is dropping tonight. And I'm just going to continue to do these because... And
I did the artwork for Blackboard
and Dregs did the artwork for Blackboard Wednesdays. And, you know, it's a privilege to be collaborating with him. And like I say, I'm an extremist. So when I'm fortunate to meet quality people that's reliable and dependable and get results, I come back. So I'm a phone call away, just like I know Dregs is a phone call away. Same with Larry June. Same with my son, Andre. And so what do you do? Blackboard Wednesdays is something that I do just to keep myself relevant, keep myself in position to express my thoughts, because I'm constantly reading. I'm constantly trying to expand my vocabulary. I'm constantly trying to acquire new knowledge. And, you know, people need to hear something productive, something positive. We all gonna hear a lot of negativity. We all gonna hear about the violence, about the gang activity, but sometimes, you know, you could take 5 minutes out your busy day and listen to something productive and positive, and it could possibly get you through from the middle of the week to the end of the week. That's it. That's all I got to say. One love, peace, and power to the people.
That's what's up. And sometimes I just go and I listen to some of those intros and shit when I need a little pick-me-up. Let me go listen to some Herm real quick. And for those out there wondering if he's ever going to drop another compilation, I've been asking him. We'll see. But just know I'm pushing for it. I want to see at least one more before you clock out. Man.
It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
Herm Lewis, still trying to survive in the ghetto. Black Power Productions. History of the Bay. Peace.
Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay. Recognize where you got the game. We got our own style, got our own slang. Northern California is a West Coast thing. This is the history of the Bay.